recording. Once again, welcome everyone to our first ever MetricsDAO Networks Week Kickoff. Yay! No air horns here, just voice effects. So let's get started gradually. We have some really cool networks here joining us, and we'll talk about all things networks and why we have this week and what you can do and why we really think you should create networks, and we would love to see community networks spring up and how we can work with you and help y'all. So the big lore about networks, which Drake and If Sunslinger join us, will also talk about, is this is an organization, this is an association, this is a group of on any organizing principle at all. If you've seen networks kind of spring up recently, you would have seen that some are analysts and some are peer reviewers and some are, education based, some are alumni or teaching assistants or students, or there can be a combination of all of these. Some are just really great analysts who are focused on a specific thing, and some networks are a combination of several things, right? So kind of this amalgamation of people who are good at different things and coming together, they create something bigger and better. Hearing a little bit of mic feedback, if you're able to mute. Networks also let you do things with your friends, with your data friends and colleagues. You can all get better and collaborate, and best of all, improve your earning potential on the Metrics app. So with that, I would like to give this mic and also the screen share over to Drake to talk a little bit about the why and the lore behind networks, and Badger, the tool which he's been pioneering and creating to make network creation happen, and also to hopefully do a live demo on how to create a network. I'm gonna jump off. It's all yours.
Awesome. Thank you, Marina. Let's see. You guys see Google Slides?
Yep, all good.
Okay. Do you see anything else or just Google Slides?
I just see Google Slides, the Networks Week presentation.
Perfect. So as Marina said, networks are becoming a big part of, the entire metrics ecosystem. Obviously in the organizational layer, in our communication spaces, we see these networks popping up, coordination occurring between them. And we're also, really baking it into the technology as well. So I want to give a quick recap of technology that underlies the metrics application. So we have this protocol called labor markets. And labor markets allows this network autonomy to occur. So we can imagine that we have a bunch of different networks, like we have the MetricsDAO Bounty Ops team, MetricsDAO analysts, we have Pine, the Watchmen. We could see, we could have your network in here. And all these networks exist, but what labor markets does is it coordinates the networks. So you create a marketplace. Every marketplace allows a certain network to launch challenges, a certain network to respond to challenges, a certain network to review the responses. And we can imagine that we have a bunch of different marketplaces that are coordinating different sets of networks. And as we go into version 2 of the application, version 2 of the protocol, we have this other add-on called NBadge. So this is a modular function gating mechanism. So we can now think about when someone's creating a marketplace, right now in version 1, we have things that are gated for reviewers based on networks, but on the analyst side, it's really just our metric. In the future, we're going to have this very flexible ability to gate different on-chain functions to different groups of people. Again, this is called NBadge, so on-chain functions that are token gated or badge gated. Those are ERC 1155 based, and it really gives extreme flexibility to how you coordinate these groups. So we see here on the right, like the three groups that are being coordinated are the sponsor, so the group of people that are allowed to launch challenges within a marketplace. The analyst permissions, this is the group of people that are allowed to make a submission within that marketplace. And the reviewer permissions. So a marketplace is kind of like a class or a set of parameters. And then a challenge is like a funded ephemeral instantiation of the parameters within a marketplace.
Nói nhanh lên muốn bị tắm nào.
So what MBadge gives us is like, again, this really modular network access. So if we swing back to these groups where we think about coordinating these, three badge networks, and then now we have the ability to say, add logic on top of it. Someone needs to have all of these or any of these. We can get into a situation where I can tap multiple networks at the same time. And you can have, you can imagine a sophisticated organization that has a number of different, values that they're tracking. So you can have kind of passes and points. Like I might be a, level 3 analyst that has 100 points. And based on that, I'm able to access a certain marketplace. And 1155 is really cool like this. It's, again, if you think about it like in-game items, like, like what are the different things that I have on my character or on my account that I'm able to use, and how do these give me access to other things? What's my skill tree? How am I leveling up my ability to do different things? So, on chain, it's obviously not as, visually exciting, but we do have all this data, and we can store this data and use this data to control which functions different individuals can use. So labor markets, the protocol will accept any 1155, but we have created a tool called Badger, which will let you kind of build out your network. It's really simple, easy to use. I'll jump over there in a second, but no code needed. You can right away create an organization, start developing different badges within the organization, mint them and revoke them from different accounts. And the other thing I'll say is, you can also join an existing network. Obviously, like with Network Week, I think we're looking for some community leaders to really step up and create some new networks. But at the same time, there's a bunch of awesome networks that already exist. So do take a look around and see if there's a spot for you. And I'll jump over to the app, but I guess I went pretty quick there, so I'll pause. Does anyone want to go back to a certain section?
Can you give a concrete example of how you would use this new capability?
Sure. So, if we jump over to the app right now, and we look at one of these marketplaces, let's find one that has some funding in it. So Pine Analytics right now has an active challenge. This is their marketplace. So inside of this marketplace, we have a bunch of different challenges, which again are instantiations of the parameters that exist on this marketplace. And this marketplace address, you can find in the URL. It's, just an on-chain marketplace. We can actually take a quick look on Block Explorer as well. So this is a marketplace, and this marketplace has functions that exist on top of it. And one of those would be to, create a challenge. And other people have to come in and claim the ability to submit, do all these different things. All of these functions are badge gated. So an individual that wants to call this function is going to have some tokens in their wallet to be able to do that. And we can see in the application that you have to have, this badge to be able to be a reviewer. You have to have this badge to be able to sponsor challenges. In view 1 right now, we're using our metric. Our metric is also a badge. It's an 1155 built with Badger. But in the future, we're going to move to this situation where we have more of this modular setup, and you can kind of control this a lot more. But the real life example again is just that if you want to participate in these various challenges, no matter which actor you want to be, there's just some prerequisites that you have to have in your wallet. And it's up to marketplace managers to create these markets and kind of set up spaces for work to occur. So I'll jump into the app. This is trybadger.com. And it'll load up in a moment here. These are some of the networks that I am the owner of. So we can see like inside MetricsDAO, I have, on version 1 of the protocol, marketplace creation has been a badge gated function. So I've issued badges to people like Pine, so that they're able to create marketplaces. These are some of the badges that were being used in this version 1, this public beta of the Metrics app that we've been using. Some people are empowered to be reviewers here. Some people have access to other things. This is actually our metric right here. And if you want to create an organization, it's pretty straightforward. So I can, call this my new network. You can have a token symbol. If you want, you can upload an image. Otherwise, it'll kind of just generate one for you. And when I do this transaction, I'm basically deploying an 1155 contract. And now that I've deployed this contract, you can see I'm not really there yet, but if I inside of this contract, I can deploy different token IDs. So this will be, token 0. So this is token ID 0 on this contract. If we swing back over to the app and we look at this prerequisite tab, we can see, okay, these badge networks are kind of like there's 2 data points that define these. There's the contract address and the token ID. And I can see inside of Badger, my contract address, my token ID. Now maybe I want to start to issue this badge. So I can mint this to people. If I go grab the address that I'm using right now, so now this address is in holder, and again, I can see on chain. Here's where I'm kind of defining this badge, and then here's where I'm minting my new network token ID 0 to the address that I'm holding or I'm using right now. And I have a number of different badges in here. So again, I'll pause if anyone has any questions or wants to jump in a different direction.
Sounds like no questions so far. Loving all the links you're dropping in the chat. Thank you for those.
Yeah, absolutely. I will shut up for now, but happy to answer any questions in the chat and excited for us to be kicking off Network Week.
So excited. Thank you so much, Drake, for getting into the how and how things work and how anyone here and anyone in the community and anyone at all can create a network, and how networks will be the gateway for things in the Metrics app really soon. So before we jump into what you can do this week and what is so exciting about this week in particular, I'm going to give it to GJ, who is joining us here to talk about his take on the why and networks as a concept and networks as this foundational idea that we've been really excited about. All yours, GJ.
Awesome. Thank you, Drake, for walking us through the how. I'm going to take us quickly through the why. Why join a network? The high-level answer is fun and profit. I want to go a shade deeper than that. Up till now, we have largely had challenges open to everybody, and we'd review all of them, and the best would get paid more, and worst would get paid less. And then over time, starting with the Samurai, we tested out this networks concept. Samurai had a lot of challenges with it. We used a single measure, X metric holdings, as an obstacle. And what we found was X metric by itself isn't necessarily a great judge of who's an awesome reviewer, which makes sense in retrospect, right? Because you can get X metric by just coming to calls and listening to me talk, which will make you smarter and happier, but will not necessarily teach you how to review. So what we've seen over time is that networks that form around different criteria, for example, skill or number of bounties reviewed, may end up being better at reviewing than just a network that we create. And specifically, networks that are really excited and energized to do something specific, for example, the eager beavers and an academic rigorous approach to reviewing, tend to be better at it. So where all this is going is we want to reward the people who are putting in the effort and who've assembled their friends or their colleagues or people with different skill sets and who are excited about fulfilling a particular function, whether that's getting paid to review, whether that's creating challenges, whether that's giving program feedback, or whether that's Solana or Near or Flow or any of the specific ecosystem bounties that we offer. We want to reward people who are interested enough to specialize, to become the best in that particular field, and to do it as part of a group, even if that group is 3 or 4 people. So we've tried this with several reviewer networks, with the Watchmen, with Silasau, Eager Beaver, Solar Core. And then for a long time, even back in the Flipside days, we've had small networks tackle bounties. So it may not be super visible to the community, but on the other side, as someone who's helped design a lot of challenges, we would often do what we would call a flash bounty internally or in Cantina and say, hey, this person or this group of people or the entire Cantina get access to this bounty because it needs to be really good and we need it super fast, usually because a partner needed it really fast. And so having small groups that we know we can rely on, and more importantly now that a larger group of people than just me or Aaron or Drake or Marina or the Bounty Bunch, if 20 or 30 or 50 people want to be creating challenges, and ultimately if we want it to be, anyone in Web3 can create a challenge, we want them to have access to small elite groups. Fire teams are coming to mind from Halo or guilds in World of Warcraft, but groups that have proven their ability to get stuff done. For all those reasons, we're really going to be encouraging people to join networks. And in V2 of the app, when it comes out in a couple weeks, I should say a few weeks so Drake doesn't get on my case. When it comes out in a few weeks, more and more of the challenges and the opportunities to review are going to go through networks. So if you aren't part of a network or you don't know what network you want to be part of, make one or join one. We are happy to help you through that process during Networks Week. That's what it's all about. We're going to work with existing network leaders to talk about their networks and if they have open spots, what criteria they're looking for in someone who can join. So if you aren't confident that you can, go head to head with the best reviewers or the best analysts, then focus, pick something that you are really, really good at. Maybe it's Solana. Maybe it's just reviewing for grammar. Maybe it's reviewing SQL. Maybe it's attention to detail. Everyone who's here is good at something. Find that something and find a network that values that, or make your own and fill in the gaps around yourself or around the others in the network to make sure that as a whole, your network can perform. If you do that, my commitment is that every network that forms is going to get some opportunities to do what it's formed to do, whether that's getting paid to review, whether that's getting paid to do challenges, whatever it is. If you make a good faith effort, and if you're clear about, here's my network, here's what we're good at, here's what we'd like to do, here's the criteria to join, then I will give you opportunities to earn money as a network. And if you do well, you'll get more opportunities. And if not, we'll do our best to give you feedback so that you can do it better and ultimately be one of the selection of networks that is just earning money on the regular. Let me pause there. I'm happy to dive into much more specific examples, but that's the high-level overview. Any questions about why to join a network? All right, cool. Let's go back a little bit to the how. We have a group, or we have a channel called Join a Network that Marina was kind enough to create. I just posted an example there of what a bio might look like. Who I am, a little bit of details about what networks I'd like to join, in this case, all of them, please invite me, and then my credentials, the things that I might be good at. Based on the feedback on that post, I might modify it a little bit. Like, for example, I'm looking at it now and saying, oh, there's no way to contact me. That's fine. I would prefer to be contacted by Twitter. So I'm going to add my Twitter handle. I'll drop this thread or this link to this post in a sec. And basically you'll see, is anybody interested in recruiting me? I might, for example, want to talk with a network leader and say, here's what I would like to get paid and here's what I'm willing to do. Or it may be that the credentials I have are enough. We'll see, but we hope to use this channel basically to advertise ourselves. And then if you're looking for talent, this will be a great place to see it. Oh, hey, look, maybe Marina and Drake and I are forming a network. Like, Drake and Marina are SQL beasts. They're awesome analysts. They're also great writers. I am not an awesome analyst. I'm an okay writer. But maybe if I were forming my own network, if I'm splitting off from Drake and Marina, I need some people who are actually good at, getting their hands dirty, writing SQL, solving bounties. So I might be looking for people who are particularly good and have really good skills and past bounty experiences where they do the heavy lifting on the analysis. And I might say, okay, well, I can write, I can edit their bounties for clarity, I can edit their dashboards, and I'm okay at tweeting, so maybe I can tweet there. So specifically, I might advertise, hey, I like to tweet, I like to write, and I know how the bounty program works, and I typically know what audiences are looking for, but I cannot write SQL at all, or at least not well. So I'm looking for people who are good at coding, but not necessarily good at all the rest of it. Let's join forces. And that's what our network will do. We'll work collaboratively as a team on bounties and on tournaments. And that way everybody in the network can earn, and we'll split it 50-50. Just an example, in past experience, once people grasp the concept, they tend to move very, very quickly in finding friends who are good at stuff that they're not. So all that said, that's an easy example that comes to mind, forming a team. And then reviewer networks on the other side, rather than submitting challenges, we have networks that focus specifically on giving feedback to analysts on the skill level of reviewers and on a high track record of quality. So if you feel like your group can really nail this review thing, put a reviewer network together. In either case, whether you're solving challenges or reviewing challenges, or if you want to create challenges, or if you want to give us product feedback, if there's other things you want to do that you think you can do really well with a small group of people that deserve to get paid, let us know and we'll give it a shot. Now I really am done. We'll pause again for questions. And then Marina and Drake, anything I missed about the why?
I think you covered it. It's really the networks, it's really doing the things that we can't do alone or can't do as well alone together. That's for me what networks are. And the Metrics app is going to enable that more and more. And we would love to see more of those. Networks are composable micro DAOs, says Drake in the chat. And that sounds really great. That sounds very Web3. Thank you, GJ, for the big picture and the why, and for joining networks. You can check out that channel in the chat. Any questions, anyone on the why or even on the how before we talk about why this week, and then we give the stage to some of the awesome networks that have already been created. And if you have questions at any point, we're here in the chat, drop them in there or unmute and ask away. And we'll keep moving. I want to talk a little bit with y'all about why this week, what Networks Week in particular is about, what we're doing this week, and what we would love to do with you all this week. And then we'll jump over to our existing cool networks. So some of this you've already heard in Drake's presentation, in GJ's presentation, but there are really 3 tracks right now in this week, and they're not mutually exclusive. You could be doing all of these. You could be doing some of these. You could be making this work for you whichever way you prefer. So this week, we would really love to see if you had, an idea for a group or network, if you had your group of friends and data and Web3 and analytics in any form of this ecosystem that's been kind of on your mind and you think it could work well as a network, create it. Get together, get your reason for existing, or kind of the organizing principle, and badge your data friends. Drake has shown you how. There's also a link in the chat with Networks 101, and that has a recorded walkthrough of using Badger. Badge your friends with an ERC 1155 token so that everyone can see on chain kind of who that group is. And if you have any questions about that at all, we have a channel called Networks 101. I'm going to drop this in the chat. So just let us know whenever, and we'll help you out. Then let us know that you made a network. So I'll show you the page that tells you all about the networks that already have been created. And there's a survey on the page. So when you head over to Networks 101, which is in the chat, let me redrop it again. This is where you can read about, the how. Here's the why. Here's your how. Here's Drake's demo. Here's some best practices to think about when you're creating your network. Having docs or something written out that explains who you are, what you're about, and what your goal is, and what types of members you have, and what kind of value you offer to the community as well. Your badge, your Badger badge, your contract address, and token ID. If you're looking for members, then what that means and do you have expectations, requirements? Are you actively looking? Would you consider people kind of, and if everything around that and Rails on board? And yeah, value proposition. And if you head over to the networks directory that we have going, I've dropped in the chat as well. This is some of the networks that have already been created. And so when you make a network this week, there's a survey over here. Let us know. So once you let us know, a couple of things will happen. One thing is your network will appear automatically here on this list. So everyone in the community will know. You can see here, it's, your value and what you're about. If you have a contact person, network lead, whoever created it, whoever manages it, your token, things like that. The name, of course. So once you fill out the survey and submit it, here's the preview, so it's not real long. We'll know that you have a network. We will be sure to give you a setup, your role that ties to the badge in our Discord, your channel, and of course, an opportunity to participate in the Metrics app as a network. That's the value and the why that GJ was talking about. So if we see you create your network, especially during this network week, we are committed to having your network shine on the Metrics app. We're going to give you a chance to participate and show what value your network adds. So be sure when you create a network this week or in general, fill out the survey and add yourself to the network list so that we know. And every network, this week in particular, we just want to say thanks. We want to see all these networks being created. So this week in particular, we're going to send some X metric to the members of the new networks and their leads. Of course, we always, reserve the right to look at spam and things done not always in good faith. But if you're creating a network with a really an active commitment to participate in the app, we'd love to say thanks and to reward you. And the same goes for networks that already exist because they're awesome. We want to also shout them out. So we'll be sending some Xmetric rewards their way as well. We'll be sending 100 Xmetric per network member at the end of this week for all kind of active and good faith networks, and 250 for the lead. So be sure to grab that, create the network this week. Oh, I think I was opening a different app there for a sec. All right, so that's the creation of networks this week. Create a network. We'd love to see it. We'd love to reward it with Xmetric. We'd love to give you a chance on the Metrics app. If you don't necessarily want to go out and create one just yet, this is everything that GJ talked about with joining a network. We have a channel. Let everyone know what you've got, what you're looking for, and we'll hopefully see some network matchmaking. And finally, those of you who already have a network, well, first of all, you can always create more. If you have more ideas, we'd love to see you be in multiple or you lead multiple. Just let your creativity and your networking and connections flow and do your best. We'd love to see that. But also we appreciate every network that has already been active, that's already been an active part of Metrics app and our ecosystem. So we'll reward those networks as part of network creation this week as well. All the pioneers get absolutely the same appreciation and perks from us. And also we just want to shout you all out. So we have a few network leads and members here with us today, and I'd really love to give them the mic so they can talk about why they created their networks, who they are, what they do, just share a little bit of that with y'all. All right, let's get right to it. We have a few folks, so I'm going to call on you one by one, and we'd love to hear from you. We have Elvis representing Eager Beavers. Elvis, do you want to say a few words?
Thank you very much, Marina, for giving us the opportunity. Like GJ said, we are the Eager Beavers. We have a kind of, we like to apply a kind of academic rigor to our reviews, but more than that, we want to give back to the community that gave us this opportunity and the home to do our analysis. We do this by mentoring others, by doing reviews, and trying to give standardized and meaningful feedback to them. This means that we not only point out, ideally, what is wrong with the dashboard, but also try to ways how to improve it. Currently, we consist of a core team of 9, but we are looking for new members. We are working on the criteria to join, but until that is out, everyone is very welcome to go to our DAM, go to our channel at the MetricsDAO channel, and apply. We will give any experienced analyst a fair shake, and would be happy to have your application. So if you want to help the community, help others grow by reviewing and giving meaningful feedback, then you're very much welcome at our DAM.
Amazing. Drop the Eager Beaver channel in the chat. Visit them. Apply if you're interested. And thank you, Elvis and Eager Beavers, for being great and improving reviews and mentoring through review as well. We appreciate you. Next up, we've got Solar Core here and Marku, who leads it. Marku, would you like to say a couple of words about your network?
Yes, hi, hello, and thank you, Marina. All right, well, the Solar Core is a network that's focused exclusively on Solana bounties and reviews. So we're going to need folks who are really good at working with and understanding Solana data. Okay, and for those who don't know, Solana is one of the most active blockchains. Sol is a top 10 token by market cap. So there's going to be a lot of things that need your analytical minds. Right now, the network has a small membership and will likely always be smaller than generalist networks. But right now, we're open to accepting new members. So if you want to join Solar Core, then let us know why and pitch yourself as well as you can in the Join a Network channel, the one that Marina shared, and get one of the existing members to refer you. And hopefully you'll get in. Yeah, that's about all.
All right. That's your primer into Solar Core. They are doing this special for looking at new members. So if you want to be referred, you know where to go. # Join a Network channel. See you there. And thanks, Marco. Next up, we've got our Watchman, and not the Laughing Man, who would like to say a couple of words about them.
Hi everyone. So Watchman started out as a network I started back in February when GJ was all about launching networks to solve XYZ problems. And it mainly consisted of, the early members were just creators I had known in Flipside. So beyond that, I keep a lookout in reviewers, masters, and like Samurai channel for folks that are contributing back to the DAO, whether it's like pointing out malpractices that are going on in the various patches or like some errors by the reviewers. So those are the folk I personally approach in DMs and like ask them if they want to join the network. Other than that, you can still apply for the network, but the criteria, there's no such criteria. You do need to have the SQL knowledge to be a part of the network, and you need to be, we are a generalist network. So we aren't focused on any one chain, but if you are entirely new to reviewing, we do have a role for that as well. So the network is split into 2 roles, whether it's Watchman Adepts, which are the expert reviewers, and then we have the Watchman Apprentices, which are like just learning to review. So that clarifies when like the batches go out, like the on-chain batches are strictly for the adepts, and the ones that happen through Notion are still like, those are for the apprentices to catch up and like get the experience. So for joining, you can either like ask for a referral or like an existing member to vouch for you, but yeah, or you can directly DM me. While I am representing the network right now in this call, the network is more or less led by all the members, because all the practices that we follow, like we follow the similar practice as in Samurai, like for raising hands. They are all decided by the community, like, okay, we'll raise hands because we do have around 20 plus members already. So when the batch comes, we will do the raising hands and the RNG draw thing for who is going to get to create the batches. Yep. Yep, that's all about Watchman.
Thank you, Laughing Man. It's really cool to see as each network presents themselves how the structures are different and how each network has really figured out the way that works for them, be it two tiers, be it referrals, be it whatever structure may work. And those networks that are getting created in the future, maybe we'll figure out something else that's really innovative. We also have an example of a really different network that still is very much, or a few networks that still are very much within the network umbrella, but they're doing something that's not analytics and not review. And I'll let Vaida let you know what those are.
Hey, hello everyone. So there are a couple of networks, as Marina mentioned, that have been established initially to support students that are going through our educational programs and learning how to become better analysts. So one of those networks is Teaching Assistants Network. It was initially established in one of our educational cohorts to give opportunity for our students or graduates of that cohort to support future graduates by helping to review their dashboards, giving them feedback, supporting them if they have any questions or doubts along your learning journey, as well as give some feedback on the content and course itself, since we can be sometimes slightly blind in some parts, and it is really important that people that are actually learning and going through these programs give us their perspective on how they're feeling the content is being delivered and understood. So teaching assistants have played a big role in our last educational cohorts and have strongly supported them and helped us to improve those cohorts. But in the future, we are still at the moment defining how educational cohorts are going to look like in MetricsDAO and what role they are going to play in season 5. But other than that, we do see teaching assistants as well as being leaders in education in MetricsDAO and really stepping up. And if there are any teaching assistants, let's say, who are interested in leading some sessions, or they have some ideas of how we could educate upon, or like to take up that role and start becoming a teacher, there is that opportunity within the Teaching Assistants Network, and we will announce that over the next couple of weeks. As well as when we have more clarity on how the season 5 is going to look like. Also, another network that is there, which is linked with education as well, is Alumni Network. So Alumni Network essentially is a network for any graduates from our educational programs. So after some time, we do close the educational program channels, and then just invite people to join the Alumni Network. So this network is for people who are in a way on a similar boat, learning how to become analysts, learning how they can actually step into that professional path. So it's really a place to kind of support each other in building your analyst journey, and sharing anything that's linked with building your career as an analyst. So yeah, that's it. And if there are any questions, do drop them in the chat.
Thank you, Vaida. This is a really cool example of how networks can really be anything that unites a group of people in this ecosystem, and whatever way that you really want to make use of it, be it teaching assistants, alumni, even students, all of that is fair game. I appreciate Vaida for giving y'all an overview. There's a link in the chat where you can kind of see those badges and what those networks look like based on their badge. Elvis dropped in the chat that everyone who is watching this, who is here and is not part of a network, let us know. Drop a balloon on his comment. We'd love to get you in some networks or help you make one. So that's an overview of a few of the cool networks that have already been here and have already been doing work and have already been part of the ecosystem and really playing a role and helping even define what networks look like and all the different ways that they can, different shapes and forms they can take. I want to, as we are starting to go towards close, I want to show you a couple of networks who weren't able to be here, but we still really appreciate and who've been our networks from early on. So you've heard from Eager Beavers, you've heard from Solar Core, you've heard the Watchmen. We also have Celesao, led by Saleh, which are as you can see here, they're focused on review and analysis, and they have a channel in our networks section in our Discord, so you can get to know them more over there. And if you ever need to kind of look up their badge or contact them, all the information is here in our directory that you can see on screen right now. And there's a link in the chat as well. We also, of course, have Pine Analytics, led by Jack Pine, who are an analytics, on-chain analytics, as well as peer review network. And they've been active on the Metrics app doing peer review. And hopefully we'll see them active in analytics as well as the V2 is released, and that part of the ecosystem, that part of the app is also governed by network badges. But Pine are a really important part of our community. You can find their website here. It's linked also in the directory, and here's their website. We've also heard about Samurai, which there's a bit more about that in the chat and kind of the future of that and the position of that network, but you can read a message by Sunslinger in the chat. And we've also got Lamoka, which is a network of experienced analysts as well as challenge administration and challenge operations. And they also have a website linked here, which you can check out and contact them. So that's a look at the networks that have already been created and active. And we really, really hope and we'd love to see at the end of this week what new networks are added to this list and what new networks we can collaborate with. So that's our networks week. That's our kickoff. We're headed towards the end of the session. So before we wrap, this is your floor for any questions, and you're welcome to use the chat, or you're welcome to unmute. Any questions about the why, the how, this week, networks, anything networks at all. While we wait for any questions, I'm going to drop all of the links in their chat. Check them out.
Yeah, I've got one question. GJ said that networks are an opportunity not just to form a group, but to make money. Where does the money come from?
Yes. So as soon as NBadge is released, that Drake has talked about at the beginning of the call, the Metrics app will enable gating of both analytics and review by the network badge. And whoever's operating the challenges and setting the challenges up will have their choice of which networks to to give the keys to that marketplace to, right? Which network will be able to submit analytics, for example, on a certain marketplace, which network will be able to review, which that part already works, that part already is happening, which network is able to do reviews on a specific marketplace. And it's really up to, it's a marketplace of networks as well. So whichever networks have proven themselves, have shown evidence of real great work, and are known in the community and are known by the challenge operators. And challenge operators, by the way, could be anyone. This is a permissionless app, right? So anyone can create a marketplace. So if the marketplace and challenge operators know who they would like the challenges to run for, or the marketplace to exist for, and who they would like to do that work, that's the earnings. So each marketplace will be gated to a specific network, be it wide or narrow or specific or broad or one analyst, whichever form it can take. Does that answer your question? And Drake, do you have anything to add?
You're crushing it, Marina. I guess like, and GJ, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm expecting Flipside to be continuing to sponsor challenges inside the protocol and application. So there will be a flow of funds and some volume of challenges where there will be money, again, made available inside of marketplaces to the networks that are active in that marketplace.
Gotcha. Elvis?
And
go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, the analyst networks, Laughing Man's kind of asking about. I think you can kind of think of these networks as like being able to serve all the roles. Like I could tap a Watchman network for analytics work in V2. Like I don't need that network to be defined in a different data structure. Since they all follow the same data structure, kind of use them interchangeably. And yeah, exactly as Marina said, like Pine is, a network, one of the best networks I think we see in our ecosystem. It's really done a good job of advertising themselves and, seeking out their own opportunities and also participating within this network of networks.
Yeah, Elvis, Laughing Man, hope that helps. If you have more questions, we're happy to keep the conversation going afterwards as well. And in Networks 101, which is our go-to network channel, I see typing, so we'll just give it a second for Mr. Wildcat to let us know their question. Are there going to be challenges only for networks? Yes, in Metrics App V2, that's how it's going to operate. Every challenge will be gated to, every challenge can be gated to a specific combination of tokens, right? The N badge is a combination of on-chain tokens that you can think of. So a network is a representation of that. This is a token that represents a group of people. So gating by, you could gate by X metric, you could gate by R metric, you can gate by a combination of, or actually not R metric, you can gate by X metric, you can gate by network, you can gate by a token that represents something else, or a combination of those, or a subset of those, or an overlap of those. That's the flexibility of the N badge there. And let's syndicate it. So the short answer is challenges will be gated by those tokens, and networks are a really kind of handy way to represent that group of people that will get the challenge. And anyone, absolutely anyone, everyone here, everyone in our community, anyone can create a network, and they can be one person in the network even, or they can you can bring your colleagues and friends, or you can recruit. All of those things are absolutely possible. And we want to, with this week and in general, we really want to know what networks are sprouting up so we can set you up on the Metrics app. And once the V2 is released, you're able to participate to the fullest and your network is known to this ecosystem. Does that cover it? Or do you have more questions? And anyone else?
one more question on my side. So, could this be used to, if, for example, someone has a project idea on something that he might want to build and is looking for people to do this? He creates a network for this and kind of puts it out that anyone can join to collaborate on this idea with him, and maybe even get funding from the DAO or other participants that might see this. Could this be used this way, for example?
I think that's a great
Yes.
use case. Yes, go ahead, Drake.
Yes. This is these like I kind of joke about this, but I'm serious. Like these networks are tiny little micro DAOs. Like you can think about a network in a lot of different ways. Like a network can be your friends, it could be your team at work, it could be a new group that you're starting for this new initiative that you have or this project. As you organize, you give yourselves infrastructure to coordinate and do more work together. You bring your organization into reality. You bring your idea into reality. It makes it easier for you guys to go get funding, whether that's from, MetricsDAO, whether it's from, Gitcoin, whether it's from anyone else, because now you have this networked identity, which helps you bring your idea again into reality. So labor markets, the protocol that we've built is really cool because it allows us to do coordination with incentives of these networks. But your network can be so much more than that. And it can exist beyond and outside of MetricsDAO or beyond and outside of the labor markets protocol. And if you use something like Badger or any 1155 system, you can start to plug into other tools like Snapshot. You could vote within your organization. So I think it's really exciting to think about using networks for whatever you're approaching.
Absolutely.
Cool. Thanks for the answer.
Yeah, exactly. I also think of networks, just like Drake, as, it's an identity, it's a brand, it's a signal to the rest of the ecosystem that there's a group of people passionate about something, or there's someone starting a group of people passionate about something and with specific goals, and this is how they are making it happen. That's how they are putting that into reality. Like there's a identity component to that as well. Yes, and I want to, I'm reading the chat, so I want to, for anyone listening later to the recap replay, I want to raise the question that's in there. Mr. Wildcat had asked if there is kind of a certain share challenges going to networks and if there are more kind of professional analysts. And I do really want to say that networks are really not meant to gatekeep at all, quite the opposite. They're meant to enable you to define yourself and your place in your group in the data and analytics and review and anything else really space. So you can start a network of new analysts and grow together. You can start a network with several kind of layers, like the Watchmen, they have apprentices and adepts. You can join a network. You can pitch yourself as a beginner analyst who's really dedicated and really has shown growth, and you really want to continue growing. All of those things are on the table, and you can create a network of one as well. And it's ultimately up to the challenge operators and marketplace operators to choose which networks they want to open their challenges and marketplaces for. So let everyone know, let the community know, let the ecosystem know, let us know by completing that survey once you create the network. I'll show you again where it is. It's on the networks list. It says, please fill out the survey to let us know that you have a network. And it'll show up here and we will know, and we will make sure to embed that network into the Metrics app and MetricsDAO ecosystem. There's a question from Amir, how rewards will be shared among network members. Drake, I think this has to do with the community call we had recently. I'll link the documentation for that. Just give me 1 second. Drake, in the meantime,
awesome.
do you want to
Yeah, in the meantime, so like the network coordination mechanism is just determining like who's able to do certain actions. So if we think about a analytics bounty, we would have, a number of claims, and those claims would be gating how many people are able to submit challenges or submit those claims. But then once you have your claim, you're basically you can be collaborative because you have a claim to a specific slice of the pie. If there's $1,000 USDC pool with 10 spots, each spot has an opportunity to earn up to $100 or 100 USDC rather. And Marina shared some great docs in the chat about that.
Awesome. I hope that helps. Apologies, I think my browser crashed there in the middle, so you lost my screen share. But you can read more about the claims and payouts in the documentation. There's a video as well at the end of our community call that we had on this. And yes, so I hope that helps. And whenever you have more questions, we're happy to answer. Can you choose one member on network? I mean, network can have one member, absolutely. Will challenge operators use that type of network? I think yes, there's definitely use cases for that, right? So there might be a targeted challenge that goes to a specific analyst, and that's the use case for that. But there's also situations where challenge creators or challenge operators, marketplace operators will prefer to have a network of kind of more analysts or more reviewers, depending on each challenge and its needs. Anything to add there, Drake?
The only thing I'll add is I was looking at the N badge documentation, and Chance, the developer who wrote it, actually has a line here as an example, a single person marketplace, direct to analyst requests. And he says, imagine a marketplace only for Marina. So yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely a use case where you want to work with a specific person. You make something available to them only.
Awesome. And the documentation that you referred to, is that on the GitHub link you shared, or does it live somewhere else?
GitHub link. I'll drop it in the chat again.
Amazing. All right. I think before we wrap up, there's some more typing, so we want to hit on those questions. And Sunshine Julia, to answer your question, it's in your hands. It's absolutely in your hands to let the ecosystem and the community know why your network is strong and what value it adds, and we're here to help you do that. So as long as you drop your network into the survey form, it'll show up on the directory, and if you let us know, we will also see it, and we'll raise you up. We'll create your channel, we'll promote you, we'll talk about you, we'll give you a chance on the Metrics app. Every network that's committed and active and really wants to participate, especially this week, but in general, we will give a chance on the Metrics app to show their work and prove themselves. That's the commitment that I've been given. That's the commitment I'm really happy to pass on to you all. And as Drake said, there is lots of room and space for new networks and for really solidifying that identity of the network and the strength and the added value that your network will bring. Mr. Wildcat, we will... Yeah, go ahead.
I kind of want to, and I know we're going long, but I want to double click again on like this network identity thing. Like in an old bounty program where things are just getting thrown over the wall to the public, You kind of don't really know what you're going to get back. You don't know who you're working with. But when you work with a network like Pine, for example, which is just something that someone started, started recruiting people, working with others in the community, made their own space. Now, like, they have an identity, like they're all Pine, and like we see, Pine people around. We've given Pine a role in this Discord. We can do that for every network. So that group identity is important. Like, if you're looking around and you're feeling alone, there's other people that are feeling like that too, and you guys can get together and you can form a group identity together and make something of that. There's definitely lots of room and opportunity. The networks that we have are new. Wouldn't be shocked at all to see a new network pop up and become the best one quickly.
There is a question as well, is there a process to retire inactive networks? Well, they are permissionless, but in terms of those networks being active participants on the Metrics app, if they're not active, they just won't be called on to analyze or review or do anything in the Metrics app. They can exist as a token, but if they don't exist as a society, as a group, as an active collection of members, then they just won't get work. Does that answer your question? And is there anything to add? And yes, I know we are going a bit long. I appreciate you all being here. We do want to take the questions that we get. Drake, are you good to take all the questions that we get in the next few minutes? Is Drake here still?
Yeah, I can hang for a little bit longer, Marina.
Cool. Appreciate it.
It looks like the question in the chat about retiring networks might be more related to Discord, which I think, anyone can suggest a process of retiring some of these inactive networks. There are some that are not active, and I'm always a fan of less Discord channels. So if you have an idea about what thresholds should be met, feel free to share them in Networks 101.
Sounds great. And Amir, we also hope for more activity, more and better activity, and more and better analytics and review and other kinds of growth with networks. I think we're gradually coming to a close here, but there was some more typing. No one does anything for 3 months and dies. Feel free to propose that in Networks 101. We'll definitely talk about it and consider it and see if anyone else has ideas as well that are kind of competing ideas. But there's definitely something to it. We were happy to chat more. Yeah, create a Spanish analyst or reviewer or Web3 person network. Absolutely. I think in terms of challenges that will get posted, there's a high chance they will be in English. But if you really want to tap, there's ways to tap into bigger communities, right? And bigger, more international spaces with translating analytics or helping analysts in a different language, or maybe there's more ideas that don't even come to me right now. I think this is a really cool idea, Mr. Wildcat. All right, it looks like our questions are maybe winding down. Let's take one more and wrap up, and you're absolutely always welcome to ask more questions or have more discussion in Networks 101. I'm going to drop that in the chat. All right, Masi is typing. Let us know your question. We'll be happy to answer that and then start getting wrapped up. Masi and Rachel. All right. So just to remind you, be sure to create a network this week. If there's one thing to take away, experiment, make a badge, contact a group, or make your own network and then pitch it to others and let them know you want them to join and what the criteria are. do some network things this week. We will go for a week in this network creation frenzy and spree. And at the end of this week, so next Friday, we'll see you all for a special Networks Edition dashboard teardown. Let me drop the link for you all as well. So this will work like a regular dashboard teardown, which is you can submit your dashboard to be reviewed live by judges. But the network element of it, the network effect of it, is that network representatives will be judges. And maybe if someone wants to be a judge who wants to be in a reviewer network and you want to show how great a reviewer you are, let us know as well. You can tag me, you can contact me, we'll figure something out. So yes, make a network will get you into the ecosystem, will get you onto the Discord with a role, with a channel, will get you onto the app and give your network a chance. We'll also send some Xmetric your way. So we really are excited to see from this Friday to next what networks come up. And as always, grab some Xmetric for being here live. I'm redropping the link in the chat. We'll close that link shortly after the call. So just let us know you're here. We'll say thanks. And that's it for me. I really appreciate all our network representatives and Drake and Sunslinger coming up to chat, and all of you for your questions and for being here and figuring out what networks are and why to make them. Drake, are there any parting words you want to leave us with?
Thanks for hanging, everyone. Go make a network. Talk to you guys soon.
Yay, talk soon. Thanks all. Make a network. See you next Friday. Have a great day. Bye.